Originally one of the best players in the 2023 high school class and committed to North Carolina, Gigi Jackson took a bit of a detour, classing up and heading to South Carolina instead. He had a bit of an up and down year performance wise and didn't win too many games. However, he still managed to show off some high potential as a shot creating wing slash forward at 6'9", and being that he doesn't turn 19 until December, he could be a guy really worth betting on long term, being patient with, and hopefully seeing the talent and flashes turned into real production and impact in the future. And with Gigi, we have to start with his shot creation and scoring potential, as that's where his biggest appeal resides. As a 6'9", 215-pound 18-year-old, he showed off the ability to create his own shot and do things that we don't too often see from guys that size. Now, it's important to keep in mind the efficiency and consistency wasn't there yet, but there's still a ton to be intrigued by and talk about. And one of those areas was on his pull-up jumpers, both in the mid-range and from three, some created solely by him and others coming out of the pick and roll. He loved pulling up, going to his right and shooting it both off the hop and off the right left cleanly, which speaks to some of his polish as a young right-handed shooter.
Rise and fire for the baseline.
Came from moving the ball, getting the ball inside.
Jackson. Right now, the story of this game has been Gigi Jackson. He stepped into that three-point shot in rhythm. However, 2 possessions earlier, didn't like that quick three.
Play through the post, but he said we got to get the ball in the paint and not settle.
Shot Lamont Paris can live with. Lamont Paris may be the only coach in America.
He's the difference maker for this Alabama team down the stretch and in the NCAA tournament.
Jack scoring team. We don't say that a lot in this day and age.
And overall, I was consistently impressed by his footwork both here and in other areas, particularly in the post and on fades. He's pretty advanced here, and you can tell that he's drilled a lot of stuff over the years. The up and unders, the pivots, turnarounds, stopping on a dime. There's some real substance that I'm interested in seeing where it goes from this starting point. And again, the game is simple, so he'll need to knock down more of these shots, but there are some real pieces here to be intrigued by.
Because he's been solid defensively on Jackson as well.
Spin by Jackson, fadeaway base.
South Carolina likes to play at a much slower pace than UAB. Battle of paces. Ooh, that's a beautiful shake.
Kentucky, Jackson against Bates. The follow away is good.
He's an NBA prospect. He was outstanding in here. But the
ability is to make sure that you force him to finish over his.
There's a lot of pieces to still be put together to fully unlock this part of his game and also make it work in a lower volume or more punctual type of role that we'll speak on throughout. But it's hard to not come away impressed with some of what he did.
Number 1 in the SEC in assists per game. That's in SEC games.
I thought he did an okay job as a driver. There were some great flashes of him parlaying some of the crossovers and hezzies that he likes to use into getting all the way downhill and finishing at the bucket with either hand or getting to the line. But there was also this sort of relationship between settling for the jumper because he liked that shot and also not being able to get that look at the bucket because at times it was tougher to turn a corner or the stride slash hips didn't make those second, third, fourth steps as impactful as you'd like. But given the potential with the handle, his athleticism and frame, I think he could make things happen here a bit more regularly down the line.
Can make that.
Jackson with the left hand.
A couple of times, give him a couple assists. There's Jackson.
Gonna dance with it and probably fire. Jackson to the hole again. Yeah, he is.
Now, something that'll be key in his development and just finding a spot or easily fitting in an offense is his three-point shooting. But I think there's reason for optimism there. He finished the season at about 34% on catch and shoot threes, which was solid, especially when you consider the situation and let's say he makes 5 more of those. He's at around 39% on the year, and that's a whole different reputation that comes with that. He was still fairly inconsistent even on those more wide open looks, but when you look at his mechanics, the confidence that he had shooting them from NBA range at this age, you get more reps, tighten up some of the shot prep, I think it's reasonable to project him as at least a league average shooter in the NBA.
Extra pass, Jackson for three. Got it!
Now in high school, Gigi was at times used as much more of a play finisher, playing the dunker on a few post-ups, cutting and moving a bit more. So it'll be interesting to see what his role looks like and how a team feels like he'll be best maximized. Now he has the talent in those other areas, but at the very least I think it'll be scaled back, and I think some of this will return.
To make the shot, you had to swish it. You had to have the touch to be able to do it. And he says,
most steals in NCAA history.
First half, South Carolina leads 32-20. Jackson, another one!
Got a good screen from Brown that frees this jam. Easy basket for...
Didn't count, but it was impressive. Jackson spins. That's impressive.
What a fight in there. Jackson with the left. Got a foul, and he's
solid defensively so far. Hallam's off the mark. Third board for Jackson. Ahead to Johnson. Boy, he lost his balance and a
misfires. Jackson on the attack. Here comes Gigi.
Here's Jackson. Witness blocked by Hemingway. Jackson on the drive, in and out,
Now moving on to the improvement areas, and we'll start with his defense because I think there's a lot of nuance to it, some good, some bad. Starting off the year, he had a ton of reasons to be intrigued by his versatility and potential impact, and I felt like it was a strong possibility he could grow into a real positive as he adjusted to the college level, even in SEC conference play, but that never really manifested. The moments of him being disengaged off the ball, the miscommunications, some of the advantages given up on the perimeter were there way more than you'd like. He'd have glaring moments where you couldn't help but question the effort, and in the end it left his impact to be minimal if not negative at a lot of points. Now much of this had to do with the situation. There was a lot going on in that second half of the season and defense is always played as a unit, but he more than had his share of responsibility in this in many spots on the floor.
Like that pretty easily, and so
Gamecock shooting 62.5%. And there's Bates who rattles in
poise and his patience off the shot fake right there. Put his eyes on the rim. Nice shot fake on balance.
Miller with a response. Freshman
will put him in, right? You might as well play him. Give him a chance to take a breath and then bring him back.
Gigi Jackson is said it's a 7-footer. Liam Robbins double teamed. And
Lake wide open from
Wendell Green. Put back.
Jeter in the paint. Slice it through to
and Lamont Paris, the head coach of South Carolina, and Bob Ritchie, no strangers to
Farrakhan gets it inside to Randall.
Possession now for both sides. Jalen Williams rejected.
Team of the win against LSU. Beautiful feed and a rejection.
8 and 9, close. Got to finish.
Bishop and a block.
Now on the positive side of things, he did have some good moments, and that's why some of the glaring mistakes were disappointing. When that effort and engagement was there, he made some of those head-turning plays, whether it was recovering for a big-time block, defending multiple actions, switching out onto guards, or containing more perimeter-oriented wings, or even playing a passing lane. The flashes were there. There's reason to believe in him becoming at least solid on this end, if not an impact guy long-term. But it's going to be a work in progress. I think he's best equipped to play the 4 defensively at the next level. I think we'll be able to get by guarding some threes and be fine on, more stationary or play finishing type of wings. But the screen navigation and the speed of him flipping his hips do give me some pause out there. The different situation alone should give us a much different look at him on the defensive end.
Or just that. His sister could not say Gregory, so she called him Gigi, and it stuck.
He is 25 a few minutes ago. Jackson pokes that one free. He's got Carter running with him. Give it back to him. Yeah.
Now offensively, his decision making left a lot to be desired. and there's a lot of refining for him to do, both in picking his spots as a scorer, making quick decisions, and in making the right play for a teammate depending on the situation. He was the most talented offensive player on this team, but there was still a lot of ill-advised shots taken with open teammates or just early in the clock with zero ball movement or passes, and those oftentimes kill possessions and just won't be available in the NBA or in a good basketball situation.
Different.
Jackson in the zone. Jackson feeling and firing. Jackson stop and pop.
And then on more of the playmaking side of things, he just had too many moments where he was out of control. He'd get tunnel vision and just had some glaringly bad misses. There's been a lot of attention given to his low assist numbers in relation to his usage and the turnovers, and there's obviously some merit to that speaks to the decision making needing work, and you've seen some of these examples. But again, I also think some of that should be graded on a curve considering his role and without too many reliable play finishers.
In essence, the home team. And that pass here.
Jackson draws a crowd.
Now going forward, he's likely never going to be tasked with running an offense or making advanced reads, so at his size and what he does best is really just about trimming the fat, all the bad plays and the errant passes, and just playing more team-oriented ball. Again, I think he was a little better than how egregious some of the assist to turnover stuff looks due to the situation, but it's very much a work in progress.
Jackson, beautiful pass.
Double is coming. Great pass inside.
They cannot turn the basketball over. They've got to be selectively aggressive, and they've got to attack. Terrific play.
What G.G. Jackson has in his matchup. They're trying to front the post and rely on backside help.
Jackson, fluid, bounce pass. Both man's Murdoch is.
Jackson in the paint, feeds Brown.
Jackson going to work, little crossover, takes it strong, spins it, missed it, inability to finish.
That was a chance to get it to 3.
GG, yes, Gamecock 6.5 minutes since their last field goal. Crossover by Jackson, no. Gets it to Josh Gray for the win, no! Arkansas survives. What do you do to get him free?
He could become a screener, and becomes a screener. He becomes basically a double screener, but has no help responsibilities. He's going to completely deny.
G.G. Jackson's likely draft range is somewhere between the late lottery at the absolute highest and more practically into about the mid-20s. I think once we start getting there, the upside gets too high for a team to not at least take a chance on him. Now, he has a ton of potential outcomes. I think he can be a high-level starter in the league, someone who provides consistent buckets and has rounded out his game to fit on both ends, but he's got a ways to go and it'll be a process for him. And hopefully he ends up in the right situation and structure like some of these listed that'll be patient with him and give him the necessary reps to figure things out, likely in the G League at first, and then learn from those around him in the organization and work out some of those bad habits and body language that he showed late in the season. Comparison wise, I do like some Marcus Morris there. I think a quicker version of who he was at his best on both ends is there with GG, and then there's a little Rui Hachimura in there, just someone in that scoring forward family of players, and I'm assuming GG fills out his frame down the line as well.
Beverly trying to get it in clean. Morris launches. He's got it.
Nice.
Hachimura, the aggressive take. Dominic Wilkins. Hachimura, nice pump fake, dribbles in. Wilkins back in the game, trying to close out this third quarter as Hachimura, the elbow jump.
G.G. Jackson is easily one of the most interesting prospects in this draft class. There are a lot of encouraging pieces to his game and in what he does at that size on both ends of the floor, especially as a guy younger than many of the 2024 draft prospects, but it'll take some patience, reshaping his game, and overall more consistency in his motor to fully realize more of that potential.